Before we begin, I must admit to being at a disadvantage. This is a routine that was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. Thus, no laughter. It's interesting to do a comedy routine and not know if people are laughing or not. Then again, The Simpsons are funny, and they don't do their show in front of a studio audience. Now, I know The Simpsons are a cartoon, thus there can't be a studio audience. Tell that to the Flintstones. The next time you see an old Flintstones cartoon, ask yourself, considering it's a cartoon, just who or what is in the studio audience? Are there real people laughing during the performance of a cartoon, and how does one set that up? Or is the audience made up of cartoon people? And knowing the imaginations of the artists involved, why don't we ever get to see that audience? Would they be cartoon-looking people or some real demented-looking freaks, as the cartoonists know we won't see what they really look like? Anyway, back to the subject at hand. Politics. Let's look at a few issues, and we'll start with the economy. Despite all the doom and gloom, I'd say the economy is quite healthy. How do I know that? Because Republicans are stealing all the good-looking Democrat women. Think about it. I don't know who these liberal women think they're fooling. Sure, they want to appear all independent, but let's be real. If you liberal women had a choice between a progressive guy with the long hair and that little goatee thing, wants to save the planet and end the war, is a vegan, plays the guitar, and lives at home, or a Republican that has a job, a Porsche, and money on Friday night, just who's going to get the girl? Okay, liberal women aren't that shallow. Let me try that again. Republican men put a lot of pressure on themselves. Go to any Republican get-together, and they always talk about the same boring stuff. Smaller government, low taxes. That's why most Republicans have money. Because when we lose our jobs, we're screwed and have to work that much faster to get ourselves back on our feet. We've dissed government so long, it's not like we can call the welfare office, and even if we did, we wouldn't have the patience for it. Ever called the welfare office? Liar. I admit, I tried to call the welfare office here in Massachusetts. You call up, "Thank you for calling the Massachusetts Office of Unemployment Assistance. If you want to continue in English, please press 1. Beep. Now, let's get started." Starts off deceptive enough. "Please enter your 9-digit social security number and please press pound." "If this is correct, say yes." Yes. "I didn't understand your answer. Is this correct?" Yes. "Thank you. Please stand by while we connect you to the next available employment assistance specialist. This conversation may be recorded for quality or training purposes." Then they play you some happy music, so you'll wait a few minutes or so. "All operators are busy at this time. Please call back during non-peak hours. Goodbye." Non-peak hours? What are the non-peak hours on the unemployment phone line in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? You'd think they'd be open all night. Many people who are unenrolled would be Republicans if it weren't for some of our more controversial positions. Right off the top, the abortion issue comes to mind. Most of us believe that all life begins at conception and that all babies deserve to be born, because all of us that have raised children know how rewarding the experience was, and if we had to do it all again, we would. If we aborted our kids, we wouldn't experience all the joys of parenthood, and if we had to do it all again, we would. Joys of parenthood, like changing them when they were little babies. They were so innocent. They would look into our eyes with such unconditional love. We put on their little bibs and fed them their little jars of liquefied carrots and apricots. We didn't really mind changing them because this would be the perfect child. And if we had to do it all again, we would. There are many ironies of being a parent. Remember the day your child said their first word? It was usually mama or dada. We thought that was a wonderful day. Little did we know. A lot of Democrats make fun of Sarah Palin because she gave birth to a Down syndrome baby. You know, she may be luckier than any of us. Whenever I've seen Down syndrome kids in public, they seem happy. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on in their heads, but I'm pretty sure they're not seething inside because they exceeded the minutes on their cell phones and you're not going to upgrade to that $600 plan that will give them only 100 more minutes in text messages a month. Sarah Palin's Down syndrome child will show her unconditional love his entire life. He won't be embarrassed to hug her in public. He won't scream and cry and carry on if he doesn't get that toy at Walmart. Our normal kids embarrass us all the time, and if we had to do it all again, we would. Sarah Palin's son Trig won't steal money out of her purse or nag her incessantly about having to have whatever it is he saw on Nickelodeon that everyone else has. Most of us have been so blessed with normal children, and if we had to do it all again, we would. One of the more traumatic parts of being a Republican parent is having a kid come home and say they're going to register as a Democrat. It's kind of like the shock many parents have if a kid comes home and says they're gay. You want to appear open-minded, tolerant, and you love that child, but be honest. In the back of your mind, you're thinking, what did I do wrong? Was it the time he or she hit her head on the swing at the park, or when I let them taste the champagne on New Year's? What did I do to screw them up? That's like the ultimate act of defiance. You're out there getting all jazzed about McCain-Palin, and you know there's an Obama sign somewhere in my house. And you're thinking, maybe if I sneak up behind that kid and just a little bop on the head. The latest is this whole thing about some young punk that hacked into Governor Palin's Yahoo email account and had some screenshots posted on the internet. What's funny about this is that these are some of the very people who complained for years about the government's violation of the privacy of terrorists who may be communicating their plots against America. Now they think it's cool to hack into the emails of a woman who may be the next vice president of the United States. Back to the joys of parenthood. Imagine you and your spouse is at home watching the season premiere of House, and your door gets kicked in by men in black suits and sunglasses, identifying themselves as Secret Service, saying a crime was committed against the protected vice presidential candidate on a computer in this house. The first thing you'd be thinking, that damn kid. And as they take him or her out in handcuffs, you're thinking to yourself, what did I do wrong? But if I had to do it all again, I would. Thank you for calling the Massachusetts Office of Unemployment Assistance. If you want to continue in English, please Thank you for calling the Massachusetts Office of Unemployment Assistance. If you want to continue in English, what are the non-peak hours on the unemployment phone line in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? You'd think they'd be up. What are the non-peak hours of the Most of us believe that all life begins at conception and all babies, because all of us that have raised children know how rewarding the Anyway, back to the subject at hand. Politics. Whoops. Okay, this isn't going to run smooth. And if we had to do it all again, we would.